I'm Charlie.
I'm Jackson.
And you're watching Enthusio, and today we have a beautiful 2023 G87 M2. Now we got to ponder the question, why review a 23 BMW when we're currently in 2025?
Because there's right about no difference.
Yeah, small differences we will go over in this video is basically like just some badging and maybe some new stripes. But off the bat, the car is basically the same, 23, 25, identical front end. The wheels, I believe there's a new wheel option.
Yeah, there's a new wheel option, and then there's a lot more color options. So you have BMW's individual series of colors, things like, I believe it's a purple, metallic purple.
Yeah, it's the same color that was on the M240i.
Yeah.
It's the same exact color. Same. Which, going off that, if you're gonna buy an M2, front bumper's different, rear bumper's different, but you buy that color, that purple spec was so, it was very...
sought after?
Not sought after, but it was very much for the M240i. It was the launch color.
Exactly, yeah.
So when you see that color, you're gonna think, oh, M240i. You see a Zandvoort blue M2, and you have, it's an M2 because that was the launch spec. I mean, this is basically identical to the launch spec. Carbon roof, which comes standard. Also, still on the 25, you can get that option, or you can pay. I can't believe this, but carbon fiber roof is standard, and then you have to pay for a sunroof. It doesn't seem something you would...
Very strange, but you know, it's all about the weight reduction because we are in the 2 Series, the little more track focused.
Yeah.
But, you know, smaller, lighter. Initially, a very controversial front and rear end. A lot of people don't like the tail lights and then just how squared off the car in general is.
It is a much more square body. It kind of looks like a block of cheese and you started to grate around the side.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I think if I had a block of cheese, I could probably cut around the edges and I would have a cheese M2.
Cheese.
Yeah, you know, you definitely can. I really like the flared body lines though, especially like the subtle flare up front and the wider flare in the back. It just adds like this aggressive look to the car.
Yeah.
And you definitely feel it, how wide and stable it is in the corner. It just looks like a car that's fast around a corner.
Right, yeah. And this M2 is owned by our good friend Pete, who you'll see in this video, of course. In terms of anything he's done to this car, only thing that I believe he's done is exhaust and this carbon fiber little ducktail. And the reason I would back him on it because the car stock, it's very muffled compared to the past gen. So an exhaust is a must. And then the carbon fiber lip adds to it simply because the original lip is the same from the plain 2 Series. There's nothing different.
There's no difference. So
yeah.
It adds a look of aggression. It goes along very well with the carbon fiber roof. And then he's got in this, the carbon fiber package, everything except for the carbon fiber buckets, which are, in my opinion, they're quite comfortable for being a bucket seat. Not something you really need if you're dailying it. You know, if it's your weekend drive or your second car and you want to, you know, have some fun in a canyon or take it around a track, by all means, the carbon fiber bucket's a great option. But a little too expensive for most people's tastes. What, about $7,000 for the carbon fiber buckets?
Yeah, it's 6 to 7 grand. So basically a whole entire car for that price.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this, like we said, the 25 is almost pointless. We're doing this video simply because there's people gonna be searching about the car and we just wanna let you know, save that money. You can buy a used G87 M2 from 23 or 24 from around 67 or lower even, depending on its mileage, instead of going to buy that extra 70 grand plus car when all you're looking at is basically color options.
Yeah.
It seems kind of
unless you are a big fan of Voodoo Blue and you want a individual Voodoo Blue, by all means, the 2023 is definitely a better option.
Now, looking at the car from the side, the sizing is different from the original one. In terms of its spacing, the axles are taken from the new M3 and M4. So it really is a baby M car. It has stiffer suspension, front and rear. The subframe with the front shocks have been updated. They're much more stiffer and more supported, as well as the rear subframe of the car. Whole car chassis completely updated. You want to go over some of the brakes? What do we got for
the brakes? We have a 6-piston caliper up front with just drilled, no slotted rotors, and then it's a single piston in the back that are also drilled. Yeah. So the car also, going back to the width topic, very wide, especially for what you would think would be a 2 Series. When you picture 2 Series, you picture small, compact But this one, even though it's quite large and it looks that way when you're driving down the road, feels very light, handles great. The stiffer suspension Charlie mentioned really makes it feels like a mini M4.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, I know the big thing with the previous generation, the issue we had was that it wasn't a true M car in some way. People complained about it because the motor was different, the suspension was different. Well, this thing, it's kind of like the M3 and the M4 had a child and produced the M2.
Exactly.
And now it really feels between the horsepower, like we'll go over in a sec with the engine, how that S58 motor, it's the same motor from an M3 and an M4, just detuned.
Exactly.
So it really is just a child of a...
Not detuned that much, mind you. Very, very minimally, if at all.
Yeah.
So.
And then in terms of the only complaint I would have from the side profile actually doesn't look that bad. I actually like the side profile, comparing it to the front and the rear. Only complaint I have is wheel fitment. If you're gonna get an M2, the G87 at least, you gotta get something to, either you gotta get bigger wheels, bigger tires, rims, spacers, whatever it may be, because there's just that little tiny gap where it doesn't fill its arches completely. So if you're somebody who wants the car to look good stance, or just overall adding more performance maybe, I would fix that. That's just my personal opinion.
And I feel like that's where the kind of the dailyableness, I guess you could call it, of the M cars comes in, where it's like, if you get it too much lower than this, you risk scraping a lot of places. So I see why they did it, but it's definitely something that I would change if I were to own one. So this is the legendary M3 M4 motor, the S58. So this has been detuned just slightly, I believe, by about maybe 30 horsepower detuned.
Yeah. 3 liter straight six twin turbo,
453 horsepower.
453, yeah. New one has around 485 right now.
New one has around, and then some of the M car, like the M3 M4, will get up low, high fours, low fives.
Yeah. Again, so main topic here, basing that new 25 on the 23, is it worth an extra 20 horsepower basically?
Yeah.
I mean, not exact numbers, but do you really want to pay that extra 10 grand for a few extra horses when you can go to a tuning shop and then get more done to it?
Yeah, exactly. And it depends, I guess, what you want the car for.
All right, let's talk interior. Differences between old and new.
Again, very minimal. In this particular one, we have the interior carbon fiber package. So it adds carbon fiber on the steering wheel, in your center console area, and then a lot of the trim as well.
Right. And differences between 25 and 23 interior is very minimal. Flat bottom steering wheel. This one doesn't have that, obviously. The new one has the red pinstripe little area right here on the 12 o'clock the steering wheel, and there is updated AI software where you can talk to the BMW if you get lonely and you don't have a passenger.
Exactly.
Respond! Say something! Yes, Chief. No, Chief. Maybe, Chief. What is it?
And a few of the buttons that are physical buttons down here are actually moved into the electronic buttons in your center console.
Right. Everything it's minimalist, basically.
Exactly. Very minimalist. Very focused on technology, especially the newer Beamers.
Right. I mean, if you're like someone like myself, I prefer the buttons. I prefer knowing where everything is. If everything's on a screen, it becomes more complicated, and I don't see the point of it.
There's a reason I drive a 2015. It's got the analog gauges because there's no delay. It's just really nice.
Right. Well, regarding the front.
So the front's very squared off. When I first saw it, when they first released it back in 2023, or whenever they came out, I'm not sure quite the exact year on it, but when I first saw the car in the photos and all the media, I was really disappointed, frankly. I was like, I can't believe that's where they went with the next generation of 2 Series. But the first time I saw it in person, however, at my local BMW dealership, I was actually really taken aback by how much I liked it. It's a very unique look. A lot of people don't like the front end. We talked about that with how there are a lot of different body kits to modify the front end.
Right.
But my only really issue with it is how open it is down here. You get a ton of leaves, especially if you're driving in kind of rainy conditions like it's been today. You'll get a lot of leaves on the road that'll come stick to your radiator and whatnot.
Yeah, the fact there's no mesh to cover the radiator is a pretty big issue, because you get a lot of rock chips, and then you're gonna if something really big hits that, you've got to replace it.
There are plenty of rock chips in this, unfortunately, but because it's all open and it looks great, but it'd be nice if there was just a little bit of like a mesh screening of some sort to help filter out that damage.
Yeah, the front bumper, a little iffy. Again, going back to it, I know we keep going to it, but it is seriously the downside of this car, in my opinion. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But have you ever seen The Heat with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock? There's a scene where Melissa McCarthy puts a piece of tape on her nose, stretches it, tapes it to her forehead, and then smiles.
Looks a little bit like
It looks a little bit like that. Every time I see this car, it's what I think of. That's just me, though. All right, now driving. We're here with the owner, Pete. So shout out to Pete for letting us do all this. And then we got Jackson in the back. He's sitting back there.
Yep.
Right off the bat, driving the new M2. It's very solid. It feels smooth in terms. I mean, you've owned it for how long now, Pete?
About 8 months, 9 months. I bought it. I took delivery in June of 2024.
And then in terms of when you first bought it compared to now, what are your thoughts on the car overall?
Yeah, I would say so. This is my only car, so I daily it, and I also do canyon runs, and it is overall just a great all-around car. It has back seat. We have we could fit people back there. It's got a trunk, but when you're driving around town and you have everything in comfort mode, it is a sports car. So you do go over a bump, you are going to feel it, but it's not super unforgiving, and it is very livable. But when you push two buttons, you put it in sport mode and you turn everything up, it moves.
And like we talked about earlier, the main point of this video is to compare, and this is the 24, thank you, 24, compare it to the new 25 that's out now. And is it really worth that extra, $7-10 grand for that upgrade? I mean, we went over it earlier, the difference, maybe that little outline on the M2 logo, or you get extra 20 horsepower?
Yeah, it's got a little 20 horsepower, which really, if you put a new exhaust on an air intake, you're right there.
Yeah, it's basically the same. In terms of cosmetic, I think actually the only thing is the paint.
Yes.
You get different paint colors.
Yeah, and interior. So when I got this car, you could get a dark tan. Now they don't offer that. Now it's just black, or the black with what I have here, the accent striping.
Yeah.
The only two interior choices.
Yeah, the big thing on this car is that the previous generation, everybody talked about how it was super raw and the suspension it felt like a proper track car that you could take on the street. But this BMW is it's more refined. It's the suspension, it's way more tunable. It's a better daily driver overall. So the people that are saying, oh, it doesn't feel like a proper M car. Well, everybody wants something they can daily drive, and an M2 is that car. If you want something that's more track focused, you're probably going to go spend money on an M3 comp or the CSL for the M3 or the M4. That's why I think it's not that bad that this car is where it is in terms of its suspension, and they did well. It's got the same axle as the M3 and the M4. It has the same engine as both those cars. It just slightly detuned, and I think for the money overall, it's worth it. And especially a used one nowadays, I think you can find a used one for maybe with 6,000 to 8,000 miles for $67,000, around that range or so, and that's still cheaper than a brand new 25. And I don't see the reason to buy a new 25 when you could buy a used one that's well maintained and well kept.
Yeah, I mean, this car new, the sticker was just around 72.5. Really isn't a car, in my opinion, that is the same price that really competes with, in terms of, the fit, the finish, the luxury. This was carbon fiber trim, leather seats, and the ride quality. And the speed. Yeah, this car will go, 0 to 60 in 3.8, 3.7 top speed. So I got the M driver's package. So the top speed on this is 177.
And the things that this model that Pete has that others may have is the buckets or the manual transmission. Now BMW does offer the manual transmission, but I've heard a few complaints regarding the manual. One, especially the new one is what I've heard from our friends over at Straight Pipes, is that it has an issue with its transmission for the manual. It can't find the gearing. So if you try to throw it into second, you might end up trying to throw it into like fourth or fifth because you can't find it properly. And the other thing that this vehicle doesn't have is the buckets. Now, buckets I've heard good things about and negative things about. I'd prefer the comfort seats just because it's something that you can use daily, especially if you're going to use this car as a daily driver. Now, if you're going to modify one, I'd say buckets are worth it. But the price for the buckets, $6-7 grand for buckets, you buy a whole nother car for that price.
Yeah, and to your point, like the comfort seats are a daily. This is my daily, and I've sat in the bucket seats, and they're cool for the track, but you know, I go get groceries in this car, I go to the gym with this car, and I don't really want to be moving in and out of bucket seats on a daily basis. And also, I live in LA, and driving a stick and pushing a stick in LA traffic, my left foot would be killing me. So I opted for the automatic transmission, which I love, and it's, you know, the shifts are very smooth, they're very quick, very direct. So I have no problems with this transmission at all.
But in terms of the upgrade suspension, people saying it's not stiff enough. I mean, we're going through some decently nice twisties right now. The car hand, it's in the sportiest setting, and it still has that nice raw feeling. I've driven cars that are just straight track focused, but you can also drive on the street. The ability to go back and forth between this with your little M shortcut buttons here, it's superb. It really helps out. Like if I slow down here and I'll downshift, and this car does have a non-stock exhaust. So we're in fourth gear, you just put your foot down, turbo takes it, and then boom, you're going.
Yeah, once it hits the power band, it's just...
And the brakes are, we're going through a little bit more of a twisty section. Brakes are phenomenal. They're really nice touch response. I'm yet to drive the new M3 and the new M4. I've driven past generations M cars, 3 Series, and those brakes are very responsive. I don't see anything wrong with these. They're super, you don't have to hit them too much. You can customize in terms of how much braking input you want the car to give back to you with the different settings through the M. It's very nice in terms of how everything's set up for driving
There you go. A little traction.
Yeah. I was like, why is it not kicking? Then I saw the light flash on.
Yeah, no, that's why we keep traction control on. It is a little wet out. It's been raining, not hard, but it's been raining consistently.
All right, so we're gonna come to a quick stop, and we'll just do a little 0 to 60. So 0 to 60 according to B&W is 4.1 seconds. We don't have any official timing, so we're gonna use Jackson in the back seat. Let us know if you think it's 4.1 seconds. You ready? It's a little wet. Here we go. What do you think?
That was probably about 5.
5. Yeah, a little bit of slip.
A decent amount of slip.
Yeah.
But definitely going to be less than 4.1, especially from a full launch.
Yeah,
and that was not launch control, so.
No, that wasn't. Yeah.
Just a stock hitting it, that's probably going to be about
Yeah.
a 4.1 number, but launching is for sure going to be something.
Yeah, with launch control in this weather, it's a little bit of drizzle right now out here, and we would spin too much. So I feel like a launch control isn't really worth it in this weather.
Yeah, I like my tires, so thank you.
Yeah.
So tires are not cheap.
But you know, thank you to Pete for letting us do this, and it's fun to experience different cars like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the exterior styling. I know it's a little polarizing. It is more aggressive with the squared off bumper, but I enjoy it and I like it. It looks, you know, it's not like anything else on the road. So
what I've seen with B&W recently with the new G models that they have is they've made these pictures of these cars. They put them out on social media and give them all to these journalists. Be like, this is our new car, and the pictures look terrible. Like they're like, oh yes, just let me show you this car. But here's what I've thought, and Chris Harris got on this point when he was with this car. He said that they've done that on purpose, so over the years we can get used to the car. So then we would acclimate to it to the point where now we like it. And I'd say the car has grown on me. I'd still say the front end could use a little bit of love. That's just my opinion. The rear I can get used to, but then they gave you options for if you didn't like the certain bits to it, you could have that M Sport package where they would give you the like $11,000 exhaust, or that the aero upgrades. And now those are available obviously still, but there's so many companies out there nowadays that make other parts for the car that in my opinion look better than OEM B&W parts. Right.
Yeah. There's Bimmer World. There's so many different websites that you go to, and so many different brands that make tons of carbon and tons of aftermarket. I didn't realize how big the community was of modifying BMWs until I got this car.
Oh yeah.
There's all different things you can do, different wheels, different lug nuts, and different badges and blacked out badges, and I do have, as Charlie had mentioned, I do have an aftermarket exhaust. It is loud when I have the valves open, but when I have the valves closed and I drive around town, it's great. It's it's very livable. But it did definitely dramatically increase the experience. When you have the windows down and you're doing some spirited driving like we are now, it definitely sounds a lot better. There's no burbles. It's more of a raspier tone, which I prefer.
Oh yeah, the burbles are very annoying in my opinion.
Yeah, this car actually, so if you're at about 3,000, 4,000, you downshift and you go up to 5, there'll be some pops and some bangs, but there's no burbles.
Yeah, and you can drive the car even in the sport mode. Like, yeah, it's you can hear the noise, but right now sitting in 8th gear with the automatic, we're cruising like simply, like it's not a loud noise. But then again, if you downshift a few gears, you hear it, and then you can put your foot down and you get the noise.
Yeah, so very livable car. And on highways too, like if you're cruising at 70, 75, put it in comfort mode and just close the valves. There's no drone. It's not annoying to hear. So yeah.
And in terms of interior, when you're here, everything's like, it's not cheap. Like everything is together. The wheel, the one thing I want to say about the wheel, my hands, hand size, I don't have very big hands, I would say, but the steering wheel's a little beefy. That's only my thoughts on it. It's has some girth to it, maybe a little bit thinner for a steering wheel. I'm not sure if the new 25 variant, if they've done that at all, shrinked it. I don't believe they have. About the same. Going back to, why it's not worth spending that extra 7-10 grand for a new one for just a square bottom steering wheel and a little red thing at the 12 o'clock spot, when you could, if you really want a steering wheel, buy an aftermarket wheel, like something from Carbontastic
for like $900.
Exactly.
$1,000, yeah.
And those are custom. You specifically tell them if you want. There are options they make, I'm sure, that are already pre-made that you can order. But I know that company does a lot of custom wheels. And so if you're already owning this car, or you go buy a 23 or a 24 model, it makes sense to spend that less amount of money instead of a whole car.
Yeah. But yeah, overall opinions on this car. What are our thoughts? We've driven it. Jackson drove it off camera. We had to just move cameras around. We only have one
little GoPro.
One little GoPro guy. So he drove it off camera while that camera was filming some of the exterior stuff. But anyway, overview of the car. You've now driven it. You've checked it out in person. You've sat in it the whole 9 yards. What are your final verdicts? Rate it 1 out of 10. And would you recommend somebody buying it for the current period?
I'm giving it a 9. I personally love it, especially once I drove it. Once I drove it, it took my enjoyment from like down here, really brought it up a ton, because it looks fast in a corner. That's what I saw when I first saw it. It looks like it's quick around a bend, and it very much is. The power's there, the response, just how you can customize it to your driving ability. Like if you want a little more slip when you slide around a corner, like you want to feel the back end go out a little bit, you can change it so the car will let you do that. Or if you want to stay glued to the ground, you can do that.
Yeah, the different, I believe it's the SDM or DSM mode. I'm blanking.
I believe it's DSM.
It's a bunch of letters. You got the BMW loves the whole alphabet. You got the F's, the G's, the A's, B's. You got a whole bunch of them. Yeah, it's a picky
letters.
Too much to remember. You got too many letters, too many numbers. But overall, I'm gonna give this an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
Driving it, phenomenal. And I'm interested in when there's rumors of the 2026 with xDrive.
xDrive.
So I'm interested to maybe change my verdict on it. Rear-wheel drive though, perfect. The limited slip diff, phenomenal. It will control you. That weird number alphabet thing that we were talking about. It controls the car really well. You can control it 10 different settings. It's really, really good. But yeah, I would say buy a 23. Do not buy a 25. It's not worth it. Wrap your car if you really want a special color.
It depends what you're looking for. If you've got the money to buy a 25, by all means. But if you're looking for just some performance at a little bit less, the 23 is the way to go.
Yeah.
Very fun car. I'm a little biased, but
BMW biased.
As you can see, a little biased. But
hey, I wore a BMW shirt just because I felt I want to be included today.
I can't believe you have a BMW shirt.
I want to be a BMW bro today.
I didn't. Yeah. Well, welcome to the club.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll remember never to use my blinker and dump oil everywhere I go.
Maybe not the oil bit. They're starting to fix that a little bit. Partly because some of the modern Beamers don't have oil. The I-Series.
That's true.
Painful.
But seriously, thank you to Jackson coming out, replacing Turner, who, Turner's never here.
Turner's never
Part
here.
of the channel, and
What
you're always
can I say?
replacing. I think we just got to replace you for Turner.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
I think that's the goal. But yeah,
Truly.
thank you so much to Pete for letting
Yeah.
us borrow his awesome G87
Borrow,
M2.
drive, test, display, all of it.
Yeah, so he has a shop coming up. We will put those socials down below where you guys can, basically the shop is, you go there, work on your car, have some fun. It's a whole thing. The details are coming out soon. He's letting us let us know more about it. If you want to know more about a shop out in LA where you can work on your car and see some cool stuff like this and maybe introduce yourself to Pete, all those things will be in the description, as well as follow us on Instagram @Enthusio if you want to come to any of our events, because we do more than just awesome car reviews. We do exotic car rallies where we've done things with hung out with 2 SR71 Blackbirds. That's
That was
crazy.
very fun.
And we just did an awesome one that you guys just recently saw with the fire department. So if you want to see that stuff, follow us on Instagram, subscribe, like, comment, turn on the notifications bell, and don't forget to follow Jackson. Jackson, where can these guys find you?
Stitz Flicks on Instagram. That's where I do my photography. So I'm an automotive photographer.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.